Hello, this is Group 4 with Ryan, Christian, Raleigh, and Connor in our presentation on the Giberson Glass Studio case. Here's a quick overview of our presentation focusing on the main problems we found as a group, as well as the analysis and knowledge we used throughout the assignment, as well as some of our opinions and takeaways at the end.
So the key problems and decisions and their importance in this case is Giberson's net loss. So the main problem of the case is the net loss that is currently coming from the product and sales of his glass products. In order to ensure the future success of the company, we need to find a way to at least break even. This comes from the best possible way to break even is possibly to earn a profit would be to break even costs, to find the break even costs and each product based on production time. This is done through finding the contribution margin per minute for each of the products.
So some terms, formulas, and calculations used when solving the Excel sheet were the contribution margin per minute, variable and fixed costs, straight line depreciation, amortization, and material waste and labor productivity. So first, understanding the contribution margin as well as the variable and fixed costs play a huge part in understanding what is going on in the company, as well as calculating the correct numbers so you get the correct outcomes of what's actually happening. Also, you need to use the fixed cost to solve for contribution margin, which helps you understand how it plays into the company. Then we look at the next two, which are straight line depreciation and amortization. And it's very important in accounting to use these so that you can correctly depreciate your assets within the company. Then the last two we look at are the material waste and the labor productivity. And a big part of the company's issues was just using or having a lot of waste, which waste a lot of money because you're spending a ton of money on raw materials, but then you're also wasting those raw materials after you're making some products. And the more raw materials you waste, the more money you're also letting go down the drain with all those raw materials.
So we had some hard skills between sales, marketing, problem solving, and management skills. Sales, this has been an issue for Mr. Giberson. He had $31,080 recorded last 40 weeks. He has potential here to increase the prices on some of the products. He also has potential to remove some of the products from the lineup, which will be discussed. Some have a high waste. Marketing is an area where Mr. Giberson will need to spend a bulk of his time moving forward to highlight his products and increase sales and his foot traffic. We don't know how much competition he does have, but we do know that we have a small window between the time when he begins his working and when he finishes. That gives us an idea of his busy season of 40 weeks, to which we can assume that he spends the bulk of his time working and dealing with customers. Problem solving, the cost and the price points are going to be the areas where Mr. Giberson is going to need to spend the bulk of his time finding solutions to offset waste, cost of material, and lack of sales. Management skills, Mr. Giberson will need to spend the bulk of his skills managing his time per product, his part-time employee, and much of his time planning as he moves forward. Mr. Giberson has the ability to turn this company around, but that's going to take some effective changes and some practical changes in his decision making. The next is some soft skills required. I got some creativity, innovativeness, time management, organization, and teamwork and delegation. Creativity, as an artist, this is a challenge to keep the product moving. So for Mr. Giberson, he's going to have to find a way to use his materials to their maximum effectiveness and be creative not only in his work, but in his sales and marketing. Innovation, this is an area where Mr. Giberson could find success in finding ways to reduce waste, such as dumping products that are heavy and making products with less material. Alternatively, he could also find a way to reduce waste through other means. Time management, this is crucial for Mr. Giberson as his product is calculated to the exact minute. He needs to find a balance where he can offset his time between selling, creating, and managing to create a harmonious balance to find management in which he is lacking. Organization, Mr. Giberson is somewhat disjointed in his operation, so he needs to find some control in his operation to find more success. Mr. Giberson does have a part-time employee that can assist him. He needs to utilize that person to the maximum productivity.
So here's some additional questions and areas that could build on the case. The first question is, what is the competition like in the area? A lot of the pricing could be attributed to local competition. So if Giberson had 10% or even a higher percentage of increase in the pricing, that might not have a large effect on his sales if there's not much competition in the area. The next question was, what were the future sales rate once the new prices were implemented? So when looking at the volume of sales that he would have to do at the old price points to reach his break-even point, it's obvious that he wouldn't be able to do that on his own. He's already working at 81% productivity ratio on his own. So even at 100%, he wouldn't be able to reach the double what he would have to double his current production to reach break even at the old prices, and that by himself just wouldn't be possible. So need to be some give and take between increasing the production and also increasing the pricing of each individual product. And then the final question is there any way for the waste to be turned into an entirely different product? Some of his customers had expressed the desire to purchase custom design pieces from him. So it might be useful to him to use the existing data on the production time and cost per piece when looking to price these custom pieces and potentially add another revenue stream and make some money off of the waste products of his existing pieces.
So for executive takeaways, the first thing we have to do is the production time must be considered when establishing the sale price, as the owner of a business cannot lose money based on his production and his materials. If he does that, his business is ultimately failing. Even though the majority of his costs at the time are still fixed, if the situation were to worsen and variable costs were to grow higher, his situation would worsen as well. So he needs to ensure that as he grows and as he increases productivity and his price points of his products and his sales, his variable costs need to stay as minimal as possible. So for conclusion, the price points in the future will need to be based on the contribution margin per minute to ensure the business is receiving enough payment for its time and material. The variable costs of production will need to remain as small as possible, even with the future growth. The increase in production of products that sell the best and are most profitable and timely needs to happen. This will greatly increase the firm's future success. For instance, the vases would need to sell at 8,179 units at the old price, only an increase of 179 units to break even. And that is his current overall best product. So it is clear that if he increases the production and with a slight increase in his price point, he could break even faster and then eventually become a successful business and a profitable business at that. Overall, it was a very interesting case. Thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day.